He didn't say my name the first time he noticed me. He just lifted his chin from across the weight rack like a signal only I could read. "You're seen." The gym noise blurred. I'd come here to disappear between reps and playlists. Instead, I was pinned by a look that felt like a choice. I was 20, new in Seattle, new at school, new at this version of myself that tried to outrun doubt on a treadmill. He was older, 33, staff badge on his lanyard, calm in the way people are when they've already walked through a storm and learned its language. "Good pace," he said when I racked the bar. Not praise, not small talk, an assessment. "You're leaving strength on the table." "Show me," I said, before fear could answer for me. Jason didn't crowd. He set his feet, spotted me through a set, and counted only when I rushed. I felt the bar steady at the exact second my arms shook, then felt nothing but his voice. "Breathe. Don't fight yourself." The last rep went up clean, and the small nod he gave me lit something reckless in my chest. We fell into a pattern. Late sessions, fewer people, space to fail without an audience. He never touched more than the bar, never lingered after the clock hit closing time, but the air changed when he was near. He'd ask about school, about sleep, about whether I was training to get strong or to stay invisible. I joked. He didn't. "Both isn't a plan," he said. The first crack in my armor came the night the fire alarm chirped mid-set. Everyone flinched. Jason didn't. He lifted 2 fingers. Hold. Waited for the false beep to pass. "See?" he said. "Noise doesn't decide your next move." It sounded like coaching. It landed like permission. I started showing up early, leaving late. Not for PRs, for that nod, that steadying gravity. I told myself it was mentor energy, the kind you're lucky to catch. But there were moments I couldn't mislabel. The pause after a joke that should have ended, the silence at the water fountain while the rest of the room thinned, the way his questions cut closer to the person I kept under lock. He never pushed. He also never looked away. One Friday, the gym emptied faster than usual. Rain smeared the windows. Jason checked the desk, came back to the rack. "Final set," he said. "Then a walk. You're wired." "With you?" I asked, playing casual and failing. "If you want." We cut through the drizzle toward a coffee place that had already turned its chairs upside down. We stood under the awning, steam rising from our sleeves. "You train like you're auditioning for a role you don't believe you deserve," he said. No smile, no edge. Just the kind of truth that leaves a mark. I told him I was fine. He let the lie sit between us until it stopped pretending. "Colton," he said, first time he used my name. "If you want to get lighter, start by telling the truth, to at least one person." "About what?" "You know." I didn't answer. My phone buzzed with a roommate text I didn't open. The street smelled like rain and coffee grounds. I asked him how he knew when he was done hiding. He looked at the dark glass, at our shapes doubled there. "When hiding cost more than losing," he said. After that, something shifted. We grabbed late coffees in places where no one cared about 2 strangers at the corner table. We talked about family and headlines, not details, about Seattle skies in March and how they trick you into thinking gray is a permanent state. He didn't pry. I volunteered pieces anyway. The small town, the careful silence, the way I'd learned to pass by agreeing with people before they finished their sentences. He listened like a spotter. Ready, present, not performing. The night the line blurred was quiet and ordinary. A Tuesday. I failed a lift I should have owned, frustration flashing fast and hot. Jason stepped in. Not close, just there. "You're not weak," he said. "You're carrying something heavy that isn't this bar." The words hit too accurately. I looked at him. He looked back, steady, unstartled by the charge in the air. "I don't know how to do this," I said. "You don't have to know," he answered. "You have to choose." We didn't touch. We didn't need to. The choice hummed between us like a held breath. Days stacked. Whispers found me at school. Nothing hostile. Just curious noise that felt sharper because I had no answers ready. At the gym, a regular with a too bright grin asked Jason if he was still training that kid, like I was a fad diet. Jason ignored it. I pretended it didn't land. Then came the moment that split the routine. I stopped by a neighborhood bar after study group, the kind of place with a chalkboard menu and a trivia night that never ended on time. I wasn't looking for him. I saw him anyway, 2 tables in, under a string of warm bulbs, easy and open in a way I hadn't seen. He wasn't alone. The man across from him laughed at something I couldn't hear and reached out, a quick, familiar touch on Jason's wrist. Jason didn't flinch. He didn't scan the room. He just let it be. My first instinct was flight. I gripped the back of a chair until the wood bit my palm. I could have left. I could have pretended I'd never seen any of it. Instead, I watched 2 people who looked comfortable in a story that didn't seem to have room for me. Jason's eyes lifted, found mine through the chalkboard glare. A beat. Recognition. The smallest shake of his head. Not denial. Not apology. Something harder to read. The room felt suddenly too bright, like daylight in a place meant for shadows. I stepped back into the rain before anyone could say my name. My phone buzzed. A message came in. "Can we talk?" His. I typed 3 words, when and where, and erased them. I typed, already saw, and erased that too. The screen waited. So did he, on the other side of glass and noise, and an easy laugh that didn't belong to me. I didn't answer. Not yet. Some alarms aren't false. Some are the sound of a building truth that won't let you lift another pound until you face it. I stayed away from the gym for 3 days. No texts, no calls. Each time my phone lit up with his name, I let it go dark. The image of him at that table kept looping. How relaxed he'd looked. How easy the other man's touch had been. It wasn't just jealousy. It was the sudden realization that maybe I'd been the only one treating this like it could become something real. On the 4th evening, I found him waiting outside my building. His hood was pulled low against the drizzle, hands in his pockets. He didn't speak right away, just watched me approach. "You weren't answering," he said finally. I didn't know what to say. "Then say the truth." The street was empty except for the sound of water in the gutters. "I saw you," I said, "at the bar." Jason's jaw tightened, but he didn't look away. "He's someone I used to see. We met up to end things. It wasn't what you think." "Maybe not to you," I said, "but to me it felt like I'd walked in on something I didn't belong in." Silence stretched between us, heavy, but not hostile. "I should have told you," he admitted. "I didn't because I wasn't sure we were anything yet." That hit harder than I expected. I wanted to argue, but part of me understood. We'd been circling each other without defining anything. Still, the hurt stayed. "I need to know," I said, "if you're actually interested in this, or if I'm just another late-night training project." Jason stepped closer, his voice low. "I'm interested, but I can't drag you into something you're not ready for. and I can't pretend the world won't notice. The world, he meant, wasn't abstract. It was my family back home who still believed I was straight. It was classmates who whispered in the corners. It was the people in that gym who watched more than they lifted. I don't want to hide, I said, surprising myself. But I don't want to get burned for it either. He nodded slowly. Then we take it one step at a time. No games, no other people. If you need to slow down, we slow down. If you want to walk away, you walk. It should have reassured me, but the doubt lingered. I told him I needed time. He didn't fight it. Just said, "I'll be at the gym if you want to find me." That night, I lay awake, thinking about what he hadn't said, whether he'd fight to keep me if I walked. 2 days later, I went back. He was there, spotting someone else, but his eyes flicked to me the second I came through the door. He didn't call me over. I finished my warm-up, pretending not to care, but every set felt heavier than it should. When the place thinned out, he came over. "You staying?" I nodded. We worked in silence, trading sets. It wasn't like before. No easy banter, no sideways smiles. But it was still us. Near closing, he said, "Coffee?" We ended up in a quiet corner of a late-night diner. No one paid us any attention. "I'm not good at this," I told him. "I don't know the rules." "There aren't rules," he said. "Just choices." "And what if I choose wrong?" "Then you learn. But you don't hide from the choice because you're scared of it." It was simple advice, but it lodged deep. I realized he wasn't offering guarantees. He was offering a chance, and it was on me to take it or leave it. I didn't give him an answer that night. But when we left, he walked beside me all the way to my building, hands in his pockets like before. This time, I didn't let the silence win. "See you tomorrow," I said. He smiled. Small, but real. "I'll be there." I knew then that whatever happened next, the line we'd been dancing around had been crossed. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm, but it wasn't the same as before. There was a weight in our interactions now, unspoken, but present in every pause. We still trained together, still shared those late coffees, but the memory of that night outside my building lingered like a question neither of us wanted to answer. Some evenings he would push me hard, adding extra reps or heavier plates, as if testing how much strain I could handle. Other nights he was almost cautious, letting the silence stretch, watching me more than speaking. I didn't know which version I preferred. One night after a late workout, we sat on the curb outside the gym, water bottles in hand. The parking lot was mostly empty, the air cool and damp. He took a slow drink, then said, "You've been holding back again." "Maybe I don't want to burn out," I replied. "That's not it." He set his bottle down. "You're scared to commit, to training, to this, to anything that might change you." I bristled. "And you're not?" "Every day," he admitted. "The difference is, I've stopped letting that fear call the shots." His words stuck with me. For the next week, I found myself pushing harder. Longer sets, more cardio, saying yes to his challenges instead of making excuses. But outside the gym, I kept my guard up. I didn't invite him into my social circle, didn't post anything that might give people a reason to talk. Then one Friday, as we were leaving the gym, we ran into 2 guys from my university. I knew them well enough to exchange a nod, but not enough to trust them with the truth. They glanced between us, smirking in that way people do when they think they've figured something out. "See you at the party tomorrow?" one asked. "Maybe," I said quickly, already moving toward my car. Jason didn't speak until we were halfway down the block. You're still hiding." "It's not hiding," I said. "It's avoiding drama." "You think they didn't already see it?" he asked. "People notice more than you think. Pretending otherwise doesn't erase it." I hated that he was probably right. Still, the idea of my name being passed around as gossip made my stomach knot. The next night I went to the party alone. Halfway through, one of the guys from the gym cornered me with a drink in hand. "So," he said, voice loud over the music, "you and your trainer? What's that about?" I gave him the vaguest answer I could and left early. By the time I got home, my phone was buzzing. "Jason, everything okay?" I didn't answer. 2 days later, I walked into the gym and found him waiting by the front desk. "We need to talk," he said. In the back corner, away from the noise, he leaned against the wall. "I don't care if people know," he said, "but I need to know if you're going to keep running every time someone asks. It's not that simple." "It is," he said. "You either trust this enough to stand in it, or you don't." His bluntness cut deep, but it also forced me to face what I'd been avoiding. I wasn't just afraid of being judged. I was afraid of what being open would demand from me. Answers, explanations, maybe even confrontation. I didn't commit that day, but I also didn't walk away. We finished our session in silence, the tension between us taut but unbroken. As I left, he called after me. "Colton." I turned. "When you're ready," he said. "I'll still be here." I didn't know if that was a promise or a warning. Maybe it was both. But for the first time, I wasn't entirely sure I wanted him to wait forever. Part 4. Fallout. The next hit didn't come from strangers. It came from the front desk. I'd just finished a set when the manager waved Jason over. Short talk, closed posture, the kind of conversation you feel even with headphones in. Jason's expression didn't change, but when he came back he said, "Office, 2 minutes," and walked. He didn't make me wait long. "Someone filed a complaint," he said. "Said I'm crossing lines with a member." My mouth went dry. "Because of me. Because of us being seen together, they named you." I could hear the hum of the treadmills, steady and oblivious. "What does that mean?" "Internal review. Maintain professional distance. No coaching you one-on-one for now. No after hours." It landed like a verdict. Not fired, but benched. "So we stop?" "At the gym, yes," he said. "Outside we decide." I nodded like it didn't sting. It did. I packed fast and left before he could read more on my face. By evening, the first message came from a classmate. A screenshot of a group chat I wasn't in. "Trainer's pet," a caption I didn't ask for. I muted the thread. Another message pinged from an unknown number. "Thought you were into girls." I blocked it. The noise didn't stop. Jason texted, "My place? Talk?" I stared at the screen until it dimmed. When I finally typed, the only thing I managed was, "Not tonight." 2 days without the gym felt longer than any deload week. I jogged outside, did bodyweight circuits, pretended I preferred it. On the third day, my roommate, Eli, set his keys down harder than usual. "You good?" he asked. "Fine." He didn't push. "People are talking." "I know." "You want me to shut it down?" "What would you even say?" "That it's none of their business." The offer loosened something in my chest. "Thanks," I said, "but I should probably say it myself." I texted Jason. Coffee. Noon. Same diner. He was already there when I arrived, shoulders tight from trying to look relaxed. We ordered nothing. "I'm sorry," he said. "I should have told you earlier this was a possibility." "It's not on you," I said. "But I need to know if keeping your job means losing me." "It means we move smart," he said. No training together here for a while. We keep things clear. We don't give them ammo. I hated the word ammo, but I understood. So what does clear look like? No secret versions of my life, he said. No other people. If someone asks, I don't lie. You okay with them knowing? I'm okay with you. The rest is logistics. A line formed in my throat that wasn't quite a laugh. Logistics, I repeated. Okay. We walked out side by side. At the curb, he reached for my hand, then stopped himself. The hesitation said more than a speech. I took his hand first. That small act did not stay small. By evening, there was a story up from a party acquaintance. A shaky clip of us crossing the crosswalk. Fingers linked. A caption built for engagement. My inbox filled with questions shaped like jokes. Eli knocked on my door. Do you want me to report it? He asked. Leave it, I said. I'll handle it. How? By not hiding. He studied me. You sure? No, I said. But I'm done letting other people write my part. The next day, I went back to the gym at normal time. Eyes followed me to the rack. I lifted anyway. Jason kept distance, trained clients, didn't look over until I racked my last set. On my way out, the manager stopped me. We're a professional environment, he said carefully. We expect staff and members to observe boundaries. I understand, I said. I'm here to train. Good, he said. But something in his tone made it clear this wasn't over. Outside, Jason caught up. They cut my hours, he said. Temporary, they say. Guilt flared fast. Because of me. Because of fear, he said. Not yours. I don't want to make your life smaller. You're not, he said. This is the cost of telling the truth in a place that prefers rumors. We stood there, traffic washing past. I expected him to say we should press pause until it cooled. He didn't. Dinner, he said, where people can see if they want. It felt reckless. It also felt like the only way forward that wasn't a retreat. Okay, I said. We chose a spot near campus, sat by the window, talked about everything except the thing people hoped to catch us doing. Nothing happened. Which is to say, we acted like two adults who had made a decision. That night, my mother called. She never called on weeknights. I let it ring, then picked up on the fifth buzz. Are you okay? She asked, skipping greetings. I'm fine. Someone sent your uncle a video. A pause. Is there something I should know? My chest tightened, but the answer came out steady. Yes, I'm seeing someone. He treats me well. I'm not asking for permission. Silence. Then, carefully, I'm your mother. I want you safe. I know. We'll talk more, she said, which I read as I need time. We said goodnight. I texted Jason, told my mom. He replied, proud of you. The next morning, the complaint turned into a meeting. HR wanted clarity. Jason asked if I'd give a statement. I didn't want to be pulled into their process, but I also didn't want him standing there alone. What do I say? I asked. The truth, he said. That I coached you. That we started seeing each other outside. That nothing inappropriate happened here. We walked in together, then sat apart, like strangers. Questions came in neutral tones that still felt loaded. I answered simply. Jason did the same. It ended with a promise of follow-up and a reminder about policy. Afterward, in the hallway, he exhaled for the first time all day. Whatever they do, he said, I won't regret this. I believed him. I also knew part 5 of our story would be written by what came next. By the friends who stayed, the ones who didn't, the decisions we made when nobody was filming. For now we left the building shoulder to shoulder, not quieter, not louder, just decided. The HR follow-up came faster than we expected. Jason was cleared to keep his job, but the professional distance rule stayed in place for 3 more months. We could talk in the gym, but no training sessions, no spotting, nothing that could be read as special treatment. It was their way of saying they didn't approve without giving grounds for a fight. Jason took it without flinching. 3 months is nothing, he told me later. We've already waited longer than that for less. For me, the bigger shift wasn't policy. It was the silence from people I'd called friends. Some stopped returning messages. Others left awkward pauses in group chats when I joined. One even sent a single line, "Didn't expect this from you." I didn't answer. The ones who stayed mattered more. Eli was one of them. He didn't ask for updates. He just made sure I had space to talk when I needed to. "If they can't handle you being honest about who you're with," he said one night, "then they weren't really with you in the first place." Still, the pressure didn't go away. The story of the trainer and the kid had become a sort of background hum around campus. I learned to keep my focus on what I could control: classes, workouts, time with Jason outside the gym. We found new routines: running along the waterfront before sunrise, climbing the outdoor stairs near the stadium, cooking simple dinners at his place. It was different from the start, but it was ours. The first real test came when we ran into one of my cousins at a grocery store. I hadn't told him anything. His eyes flicked from me to Jason, then back. "This who I think it is?" he asked. I took a breath. "Yeah, this is Jason." My cousin's face didn't give much away. "All right," he said. "You good?" "I'm good." "Then cool." And just like that, he moved on. I realized later it was the simplest acceptance I'd gotten, and it meant more than I'd admitted to myself. Jason noticed my mood shift that evening. "You're quieter than usual," he said as we walked back to the car. "Feels like I passed a test I didn't know I was taking," I told him. He nodded. "They're not all going to be like that, but it's good when one is." As the weeks went on, the urgency we'd felt in the beginning gave way to something steadier. We weren't sneaking around, but we weren't putting on a show either. People could see what they wanted to see. We focused on showing up for each other. The 3-month restriction ended on a Thursday. I was mid-set when Jason walked over, clipboard in hand, the way he had that first week I'd met him. "Need a spot?" he asked. I smiled. "Always." He stood behind me as I lifted, his voice even and calm. "Breathe. You've got this." It wasn't about the weight. It was about the fact that we were back in our space. No apologies. When I racked the bar, he gave that same small nod I remembered from the start. Only now it meant something different. We'd both chosen to stay through rumors, rules, and quiet losses. Later that night, over dinner, Jason set down his fork. "You know, none of this was guaranteed to work out." "I know," I said, "but we're still here." "We are." He reached for my hand. No hesitation this time. So maybe that's the win. Not the perfect ending, just the fact that we didn't quit. I thought about all the moments I could have stepped back. The bar that night, the first rumor, the complaint. "Yeah," I said. "That's the win." We left the restaurant without checking who might be watching. Whatever came next, we'd face it without lowering our eyes, not because the world had changed, but because we had. And that was enough.